Okay, so welcome in this new location. First of all, thank you to the location owners for hosting us. This is the first creative morning for the new season, and and we hope to see you again and again and again. I know that someone is new, someone is leaving. In short, so thank you for coming for the first time, and thank you for coming for the last time. And go to the next creative morning chapter. You can find, of course, the team. So this event is actually the August event. Maybe because we don't want to be August soon, for me at least. And the theme is critical. Critical comes from a Greek word that is krinal. That means not just being critic, but judging. And at the root of the word, we have the word cut, separate. So to be critical means to be like a scissor, somehow dividing, separating. But this sounds somehow polarizing, I think. Don't you think so? So how are we able to be critical? Basically, being critical is not being polarizing. To be critical, we need to gather information, to find the nuances, to seek the location of the concept we are trying to take into account, and the context of what we are trying to take into account. So critical basically is not judging, is finding home for our tasks, for our thoughts, and finding ways to open our horizon again. We thank our Calgary chapter that chose these teams, and Made Mozaverd, I hope I pronounced it well, that illustrated the team. I invite you to find them on Instagram and on their social channel because she's an illustrator. Thank you to our main sponsor, main international sponsor, Mailchimp, who provides a lot of services also for freelancers and agencies. Thank you to Fiori Artificiali, which is our location. You can take photos, you can tag them on Instagram with Fiori Artificiali. You can book this place, I think, for photo shooting and something else. I don't know if you have some other service that you want to mention. But little events, presentations, and also galleries. That would be super cool. And we already tagged them with our actions. Lost the Cafe provided the cinnamon rolls we all enjoyed before. Same for them. Find them on internet. They are really beautiful people who offered us our breakfast today. I want to thank, as usual, our beautiful team in Milano. Because I'm the face of in this situation, but I couldn't have done anything without Silvia, without Nicola, and without the other people who are collaborating behind the scenes. Creative Mornings is in more than 200 places in the world right now. We are also in some cities that are encountering some difficulties right now, in Ukraine, but also South America and other countries. So I invite you to go and check them out. Check out the other social networks, check what they are doing. A lot of countries are still doing online events. So what I want you to do is to check also the other events online. Creative Mornings, for the new ones especially, is a community that believes in the power of creativity to take everyone together, to gather people, and to be able to do something better with our creativity for our communities, especially for our communities. This is why it's really nice to see you here and to know that there are many people from this neighborhood that are gathering together here today, and I hope that you will welcome each other in the spirit of Creative Morning, because everyone is welcome. And the most welcome today is our new speaker, Giulia Di Gregorio. Giulia is a senior designer at the H Farm, and she's also a consultant in different sectors, so complex ideas, and that's find something critical.
Yeah.
Very fun. Grazie.
Grazie.
Okay. So, little speech. Prego.
Thank you very much for this creative mind for hosting me. Here we go. Okay, so I don't know why.
Because the first one was working now, and the second one,
Yeah, that's good. I can start. So now, today, I really want to talk about like the critical thinking and design. Okay. Why? Because I'm a designer, so I have something to talk about this topic. And okay, there are a lot of definitions of critical thinking. So I chose the Dewey's one. Dewey is a philosopher from the United States. He was studying like educational process. And how many designers are in the group? Okay. I think we can learn a lot from pedagogists and educational experts like Munari or Loris Maraguzzi. I'm doing the same with an American one, but stay curious about this topic. He was like studying the critical thinking process in education, and he defined the critical thinking process as follows. So it's an active, persistent, and careful consideration of any belief or supposed form of knowledge in the light of the grounds that support it, in the further conclusion to which it tends. So basically, it's the development of a judgment. Okay, so it's a continuous improvement of a judgment of something. So I'm sorry if I oversimplificate this, but we don't have a lot of time to talk about Dewey's philosophy. But Dewey's critical thinking process has 5 steps. So when you happen to explore something, be in a new situation, some suggestions come up. So you develop immediately some suggestions. Then you intellectualize the problem. So you think about the problem. And then, so you take time to see the problem as it is, no matter how many suggestions comes up in your mind. Then you make up some hypotheses. So stars are like little lights in the sky. Okay, this is the hypothesis. You develop a lot of hypotheses. You develop again an idea and you test it. That's the Dewey's process. Now let's come back to the design process. So of course there are a lot of designs in the world, but at some point in the last century, David Kelly from IDEO, the IDEO founder, defined the design thinking approach. It's not a process, okay? Which cover all the design process, no matter if it's a product, if it's an interior, if it's application, whatever. So everything can be like covered by this design thinking approach. And he defined this approach as a human-centered approach. So it starts from from people, that draws from the designer's toolkit to integrate the needs of people. So you have to design for people. The possibility of technology, of course, you have to deal with feasibility, and the requirement for business success. Business success because like IDEO is a worldwide known agency, and they have to do business. So this is a business perspective, no more a pedagogical perspective. So what do they have in common? If you compare, so the design thinking is an approach. It has a lot of processes. So you have the Brown one, the Fraser one, the Continuum, it's another agency. You have Stanford University, the Canadian University, they develop different approach. Basically, they're really, really, really similar. So you start from framing the problem, exploring the problem, you come up with some ideas, and then you test them. So what I want to tell you today is that it's the same. Like it's the critical thinking process from Dewey. So we can say that all designers like us explore like a child, and they use the critical thinking. So we can state that design thinking is a critical thinking. So I ask you how type of design, like which type of design are you? Like who wants to start? Like do we have different designers today?
Service and UX.
Service and UX.
Service.
Service. Service technique.
Business design.
Business design. Did I mention?
Motion.
Motion and graphics. Others?
Product and UX.
Product and UX. I have. Okay, perfect. So see, like it's an approach that covers a lot of sectors, a lot of stuff, a lot of different types of also artifacts. Okay. I really want to tell you something, no matter what you design. So now I want to tell you to analyze our work and our the designers' work and the critical thinking challenges we have, no matter how type of designers we are. So let's categorize the designers according to the process. So this is the Dewey's process. Then I summarize the three phases of the design process. So frame and understand, where you explore the problem, ideate and define, where you come up with solutions, and then develop and validate, where you test your design. So I categorize three types of designers, no matter which item you design. And it's the sense maker, the mediator, and the builder. Okay. So let's start with the sense. Let's start with the sense maker. So we have to understand the problem here. Okay. Why it's the sense maker? Because when we receive a brief, like, oh, you have to design a new product for, I don't know, Fiore Artificiali environment. Of course, you have to explore, observe, come here, measure things, measure the interiors, okay? So basically, the sense maker is reading the reality, is understanding the design space. And he or she use tools from ethnographic research. So they come here, they observe, they do some interviews in a scientific way, hopefully. And they use a tool from internet. They have to interpret new trends. So they have to read among the tips people and new technologies are telling us, and in general, read the landscape. What are the critical thinking challenges for the sense makers, so for the people who have to read the reality? We have to reduce bias in the design phase, and have to combine a human-centric approach with data. Okay, too theoretical. Let's do some examples. So, what does it mean to reducing bias in the design phase? Okay, we have to do a new chair for Fiore. I come here and I start observing how the staff is leaving the space. I start measuring the interiors, but it's my lenses, okay? It's only my point of view. So it's a very easy way to reduce bias is to come here with another person, because at least you have 2 points of view. And it's even better if the other person has a different background, different cultural background, different age from yours. So this is a simple way to reduce bias. Another more difficult way to reduce bias is to use a machine point of view. So you interview, for example, the owner of your Italy, and you record their voices, and you have the script, you have all written what they said, and you give this script to a machine. So if you read a script, if you if you listen again to what the users are telling you, of course you are biased because you are attracted to the things that makes you alive and more interested. A machine is not biased in this way. It can like underline the most used words, and it can help you, right? So you come here with a new colleague, and you use also machines to underline the sentiment of the word that the artificial owners used. Is there any comment about it? Question? So the second critical thinking challenge is to combine like empathetic approach, so be human, observing, etc., with the data-driven approach. What does it mean? Let me introduce you a personas. A personas is a figurative character who represents a group of people, which is your target, your design target. So she's Anna. She's a manager living in Milano. She's 35 years old. She has 3 children. She goes to work with bicycle, and in 10 minutes she's at work every day. Okay, where do you live? I mean, 35-year-old manager, 10 minutes in Milano to go to work? No, it's not really realistic. What you can do is really easy. You have available data set, and you can observe the data set, you can analyze the data set and see that the average amount of time to go to work in Milano is from 30 to 40 minutes. So maybe you change a little bit your personas, and maybe Anna is taking the metro and is taking like 30 minutes. And then you see like another data set, analyzing it, and you see that the average women managers have at least 1 kid, at least. So you change again, and Anna is not a 3 children mother anymore, maybe it's 1 kid. So what I'm trying to say here is that you use data to validate your assumption, your personas, because otherwise it's really not realistic. Of course, I'm overstretching this. Like it was obvious that Anna wasn't realistic, but this is happening all the time because while we're designing, we're mostly designing for ourselves and our point of view. So we always need data to validate our hypothesis. Okay, let's go to the solution phase. So we have to come up with a great solution for our design. Product, application, and chair for Fiera Artificiali. Here we are mediator. How disappointing. Not creator, not ideator. Yes, because I'm sure you are really good. We designers, we humans are really good to solve problems and come up with a creative solution. But what is happening here, the real challenge is that this solution should be also feasible, cheap, possibly, feasible, cheap, and viable and desirable. So you have to deal with business, deal with technology, and deal with users. So you have to really be an orchestrator of different people that has to agree all together. So the mediator is doing this. She's or their they find balance between human needs, technical feasibility, and business. So what's happening is like the teamwork. The mediator seeks for alignment between stakeholders. So basically, that's the IT guy, for instance, for if we talk about application, there's the IT guy, there's the business designer. So, and you have to all be aligned. And this means embracing complexity. It's kind of obvious. What are the critical thinking challenges for the mediator? You have to bring the unpopular opinion on the table. So it's not good if everybody agrees. And you have to be aware of what's happening outside. Let's do some examples. So bring the unpopular opinion on the table is good because it anticipates some failures. And I'm sure you have a critical colleague, like always like challenges your opinions, etc. So give voice to those colleagues. They're useful, even if they sometimes are annoying. They're really useful. If you don't have anyone who's really like negative and cautious, you can do this trick, this exercise. I'm sure a lot of you know it. It's called the 6 hats exercise. So it's like you change personalities according to the hat. So you start with the yellow personality, like one who, when you evaluate an idea. So you start with positivity. You start like really open. Then you go through the green one. So you start be creative and giving solutions, new solutions to the problem. Then you go to the red hat, which is like the sphere of emotion. The Y is data rational, so you look for rationality and data driven. And then, of course, the most important one, the black hat. So at some point, all the team has to challenge the idea, challenge the solution. And then you go to the blue. The blue is like summarizing all together. So you find a process, you find your way out. Be aware of what's happening outside. It's really, here I'm telling you, read the papers, read the newspaper, like get a subscription of Harvard Business Review and no more like an interior design magazine. Because really, I don't care. I'm a designer. I don't care about politics. I don't care about what's happening outside. No, politics comes to our work, to the design work. For instance, like 4 years ago, there was a huge change in the payment process for banks. It was something that politicians from European Union decided, and it comes to our office like, okay, now you have to learn about it, and you have to change the whole process. Like, okay, so it's better to anticipate this kind of change. And it's doing the same, it's happening the same with this accessibility. Like now there are more and more restrictive regulations about accessibility criteria to web design. So it's better to explore a little bit, read about it before like it comes to your office as a mandatory stuff. And now, like one of my favorites, the builder. Now it's time to do stuff, finally, and test it. So the builder basically is making the idea real. When once the idea is a product, it's easy to sketch it. When it's a service, the builder has this magical power to visualize something intangible. So it's sketch, it's storyboard, and most of all, no matter how items they design, the builders craft new experiences. What are the critical thinking challenges for the builders? You have to shape behaviors, not items. You have to get aware that all of our designs, product, application, etc., has an impact in people's life. We see it with the social networks and the kids and my parents all the time on Facebook. For instance, yeah, you're not designing stuff, you're designing behaviors. then you have to, like, if you can, try to test your idea with real users, not your client. If you're doing something for Gen Z and you're testing with a, manager like 40 years old manager, or also 30, like you're not Gen Z. So what are you doing? It's not really testing with the real user. It's like getting approval. And as an example of like shaping behavior, have you noticed on the ATM that you have the ecological choice? Like you have a simple text. Do you want to print the paper or not? And above the note, there's ecological choice. It's like a micro copy. It's really it's not even a sentence. It's not even a sentence, okay? But at some point, when I first saw it, I was like, now I know what to do. Okay, so let's do no. And it really changed my behavior, and not only mine, with a simple micro copy, super time sensitive, because every detail can have an impact. And then, okay, that's with real users and not only with the clients. This is like a huge paper, and we don't have the whole morning to do that. But what I want to tell you here is that your client has all the time to see the whole design, etc., to test it. The user maybe not. So you have to decide what to test with the user, because maybe he has 30 minutes or 60 minutes maximum. So you have to decide the features in an application like the main screen, and you test only this one. So it's really important to be critical about what to test with the user. That's it.
Thank you.
I really want to talk about it if you have questions.
Yeah, she really wants questions. So if you're also allowed to have questions in
Yes, of course.
if you feel like it. So first question. No, okay, yeah.
Questi tre, diciamo, archetipi che hai descritto, tu in quale ti trovi più?
Allora, io vorrei essere il builder tutta la vita, fatto dal mediator. Vabbè. Diplomatico.
But I think that's mediation is a big, huge
Yes.
skill.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you're mediating between your ideas,
Yes.
the world necessities,
Yeah.
and the trends that sometimes are not exactly the same as the world.
Yeah. Also, if you are like, I also do project management. So of course, project management is the mediator. That's why. But of course, like, you go through the whole process. Sei ognuno di questi momenti diversi.
Giusto per aggiungere, secondo me, tipo anche nel percorso della crescita del designer, quando tipo ti insegnano, no, il design thinking process, tu dici ok, l'ho imparato, è questo, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, e poi dopo ti rendi conto che però nella tua prima fase, quando sei junior, non riesci bene a capire bene cos'è il mezzo, la metà, il mediate, e più diventi un po' più senior, capisci che più diventi bravo nella parte di mediate, più la parte di build ti toglie tutto l'eccesso. Perché cosa si tende a fare quando sei junior? Che vai direttamente al build senza ben comprendere, perché molte volte nella vera realtà la parte iniziale di analitica observation è proprio corta. È molte volte quindi dicono ok, il mediate non è on you perché sei troppo junior per farlo e vai nel build, e più a mano nella carriera sali ti rendi conto che diventi più larga per la parte di mediate, ed è quello secondo me lo shift quando capisci, quando per esempio diventi più senior. Questo l'ho capito sulla mia pelle, perché ho detto ok, vorrei andare subito a costruire, quando in realtà è tipo prima di costruire metti tutti i 6 caponi in linea, perché sennò poi rifai tutto di nuovo da capo per 5 volte. E lì, secondo me, è lì che il design cade, perché non hai fatto il processo critico completo. Momento, sì. La ci ragionavo mentre lo dicevi, per questo è anche più largo, secondo me. Cioè, anche come l'hai visualizzato, secondo me era giusto. Sì, infatti dicevo, ma perché le prime due sono più larghe del builder? Perché noi siamo designer, quindi proprio craft, no? E dicevo, no, la nostra parte, quando io mi presento, dico, forse per farti capire bene che cosa sono più nella parte di facilitazione a volte che nella parte di builder, e dipende in che momento anche entri nel progetto.
È vero.
Sì.
È vero, tutto mi ritrovo, mi risuona.
Perché quando parlavi dicevo, ok, questo ha senso perché ricordando il mio percorso, tutti dicevano io voglio anch'io essere il builder, però molte volte adesso mi ritrovo nel dietro. Sì.
Poi come quello della negatività è quello più importante,
Sì.
ma è anche quello più sottovalutato e soprattutto quello visto peggio. Io sono bravissima a quella roba. Infatti sono in problemi, perché sembri distruttiva e invece sei costruttiva, e anche in modo di dire cose che aiuta, però è vero che se tu ti metti il cappello della negatività, poi fai cadere tutti i passi falsi, tutte le cose sbagliate, le cose che possono funzionare.
Ma soprattutto la premessa, faccio l'avvocato del diavolo, non vera, perché poi qualcuno lo farà e lo farà magari quando ci avete messo più tempo per decidere gli investimenti, cioè in un momento del processo dove sono andati via da tanti soldi e tanto tempo. Quindi meglio farlo prima, meglio che ci sia qualcuno che fa e nel capo dice
ma è successo? Non è successo, quindi non succederà, no, non è quello il tema, il cigno nero che lo insegna.
È vero, sempre nero. Sempre nero il cigno.
ma è vero, sono molto d'accordo. Infatti bisogna dar voce a questi colleghi che possono essere così per carattere o così perché in quel momento del progetto sono così.
Sì, e la pandemia ci ha insegnato molto il cigno nero che è arrivato ci ha fatto capire che non è tutto prevedibile, non è tutto calcolabile, che i business plan possono saltare per nulla.
Se ci sono altre domande, il caffè è pronto, abbiamo le ultime chiacchiere, possiamo spostarci anche tutti vicino al roll.
Grazie a tutti.
Chiudiamo con Giulia Cantora, che è uno scrittore che parlerà di processo di scrittura, di sceneggiatura e rapporto verso il cinema. Però è anche bello ascoltare cose che magari normalmente insomma, design thinking per me è una cosa nuova, quindi
Restate contenti con noi, esatto, perché anche dovremmo rivelare la nuova ipotetica location della prossima volta o magari
la ci fa una fida di carta.